Okay, hey guys, this is Coach Cai. Welcome to Coin Goals. Oh my goodness, this has been a long awaited show, and I am super excited to have my guest here, Morgan Holland. Hey, Morgan.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Look, Coin Goals was started because there was always chatter, at least in my realm, about the millennials and how most of their ideas were half baked, and I thought, can't do this. So let's really get into meeting some really phenomenal millennials out there. We'll talk about their successes. We'll talk about some of the inspirations that they have had throughout their. And so, Morgan, let's start out with talking about what keeps you up at night.
Okay, I think. Well, I want to say that I sleep pretty well. Thank goodness, fingers crossed it stays that way. But what I do think about often is just longevity. So keeping up the work and how will it evolve over time, and what would that look like? Because I like to plan things out, you know. But when you're an entrepreneur, you things have to be kind of organic. You have to flow. You have to pay attention to what's going on around you.
Yes.
It's not as rigid as how it is like in corporate America. You have a standard thing that you do. So I would have to say, just the change in market, the change in what people want. That's what keeps me up, because it's out of your control.
So, as the Gen Xers would say, whatever keeps you relevant, you need to keep your mind on it, right?
Yes.
I think it was a big fake out, though. A lot of people told me many years ago when I started on the entrepreneurial path that it was going to be easy.
Mm-hmm.
That was the biggest lie of the century.
Yes. And they need to lead with, you must be strong mentally and emotionally. Yes. They need to lead with that. Like, if you are not strong mentally and emotionally, it's not for you. Because you encourage yourself, you pick yourself up, you tell yourself what to do, you tell yourself what not to do. It's just you. So you have to be strong emotionally and mentally, because people don't understand. That's why it's also important to get a crew. Yes. A real crew, not a fake, I'm an entrepreneur, but you're really not. You don't understand. Like, a real crew that's been through it. So you can share some things, but oh gosh, you can beat yourself up if you don't have a good month.
Yes.
Am I doing the right thing? And so, they need to lead with, hey, you want to be an entrepreneur? Get your mental health in order.
Absolutely. I did have a live session, and I talked about having that self-love, that self-awareness, and that self-confidence. Those three S's mean so much. And I feel like once you have them in place, you can wear that S on your chest all day long, right? Yes. But if you don't have them, it's incredibly hard to get yourself going in any business that you start. So one of the scariest moments for me, at least as an entrepreneur, was knowing how to get started. What about you?
Yes, that's up there on the list, because there's so many things you need to do. And it's like, where do we jump into this situation? And so, and that could keep you up at night, especially when it's an investment, so, because it's not just what's the cheapest, what's the most expensive, what you can do quick. You have to really think and be strategic about it. But what I realized is, start somewhere.
Yes.
And go. Yes. Because you can only do one thing at a time.
And it doesn't have to be perfect.
I think some people really want to get into entrepreneurship, but they are, like, if you're used to being an A student your whole life, it's really hard for you to leave that job that tells you what to do along the way to jump and do something on your own, because A students don't, like, twist the curve. Every month isn't an A month, so you got to be able to bounce back and have that resilience. So, yeah.
I get it. Tell us a little bit more about your business.
Okay, so I call myself a vibrational alignment trainer. So I help people to get aligned, with their core values, your belief, visions. But I don't mind that. coach.
And that's so bland, right? I even, for myself, I'm like, okay, well, you can call me a life coach, but that's not what I really do, right?
Right.
Because at
I
the
like
end
to
of
get
the
down to
day,
the
we've
meat
got,
of the issue.
that's right. Yes, right. So many things that we deal with, right? So I love the fact that we're talking about vibrations, right? Kind of goes back to those three S's, right? How do we kind of align everything so that we can have some synergies, right? And things can go pretty evenly. They're not going to be perfect, but they're going to go even. So what was your inspiration when you picked up on that particular entrepreneurial project? Because that's a brand new type of thing.
Yes, and it was it evolved. I'll say that. It started with just helping people to organize their vision and then helping people to plan their goals. So, and then, because I was afraid, because that's the thing when you're in entrepreneurship, it's like you're going to introduce something new, right? That you might not see. How will people be receptive? But it was necessary. I can't help you with your goal if you don't have a vision. I can't help you with your vision if your core beliefs and values don't align with it. Like, you're going to be all jacked up. You're going to be working so hard when you can make it easier by reducing the resistance. So I just had to say, look, I'm not going to apologizing for trying to get you aligned. I'm going to walk in it. This is what I do. This is what we're going to do. Yes. But I did find other avenues. That's why I wrote a book and did some courses, because people learn differently. So I try to give them different ways to, take in the information. But it's more recently that I fully embraced alignment. And then some people they're afraid by the word alignment, energy, vibration, even though that's what we all are.
And you know what? I think part of that is because we don't acknowledge our truths, right? Yeah. We hide behind some things, right? So what do you mean get aligned, right? That's a scary thing. What do you mean? I've already got everything in order. I don't need that. Why do I need that, right? And so I totally get it, right? But I think you probably speak to something that most of us talk to, but you have a certain way of doing it. Let's talk about authenticity.
Yes. Okay. Another thing is, I grew up in the church heavy. So when I stepped into this whole alignment piece and energy and vibration, I had to be authentic to me. I kept thinking about how other people will interpret what I'm saying, and I don't want to offend people, And then I had to realize, like, Morgan, there's something about being genuine. I mean, it's science, it's psychology. People can pick up on it. So I said, in order for me to walk fully and really use all my energy to help people, I can't straddle the fence and think about, will they like this? Will they like that? I have to just embrace myself so they can embrace me. Yes. And we can really resonate with each other. So authenticity is important, I believe, no matter what you're doing. Mm-hmm. If it's in coaching, if you're painting, anything you want to do. And it took me also a moment to get to the point where I work with clients that I want to work with. That's another part, and being authentic, being true to yourself all the way around. Yeah. Which is like a tough pill to swallow because it's entrepreneurship. You need that money. But I feel like it's taxing. It's difficult to be authentic when you don't want to be somewhere.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. If you don't want to talk to someone, it's really difficult.
Yeah. I wanted to bounce back to something because we're talking about coin goals, right? And so I've heard a lot of folks say all these millennials want to do is get out of here and make that money, right? They want to make that first and foremost. But I tend to find that a lot of business owners have a passion for something, right? So what other misconceptions are out there? Because I know there are a few. I know that when you get out in front of folks, they look at you and they think, what is that like? What are the misconceptions?
For one, I feel like people don't know that. So when you're a millennial, it's like, how long have you been on this earth? How long have you been doing this thing that you say you're doing? Mm-hmm. Can you really help me in doing this thing? And it's like, how long have you been authentic? I've been authentic longer than you. Yes. So I can help you with this, so questioning that experience. and our ability to take our life experience and apply it to our business. So we don't just come with, okay, we have this degree or this license. It's like, no. I'm the oldest of five, and I used to help run the household because my dad worked 2 jobs.
It's experience.
I know how to manage things.
Yes, it's experience.
Yes, experience, like not acknowledging all of the experience that we have, and also not acknowledging the fact that we're like, look, we got to be here. We don't get paid the money we want to get paid from certain jobs. And in certain jobs, we have degrees, but people don't want to listen to us because we're younger than them. Mm-hmm. And it's like, if I have to work this hard, I'm going to do what I want to do. And oftentimes we work longer hours for ourselves than for, when we had corporate jobs. And I think that's totally underestimated because we still find time to smile, go to concerts, hang out with our friends. We're not depressed. So it's like, how is your life so hard, but you're still out here having fun? Because we have balance. Everything's about circulating, right? Your blood circulates, energy circulates, the water circulates. When it doesn't, it's stagnant. I can't cut off my whole life and just focus solely on money and business. I have to keep everything vibrant and moving. Yes. And I feel like it's kind of like, how you're a strong person, you carry the weight, and people think you're fine because you're smiling, because you're living. And it's like, no, it's heavy, but I'm managing it. I'm carrying it well, So I think that's what they don't understand. And I think I also really do feel like getting to mental health, because sometimes those depressed people or those people who need, that's why they get missed, because we're so superficial with what we think, how people should behave under certain conditions, and they miss it. And you're like, how did this thing happen to them? And it's because you can smile and feel differently in the inside. And I just wish people understood when it came to millennials and entrepreneurship that we go through hardships. Yes. Things get hard. Yes. But we try to find this balance, if that makes sense. Yeah.
And you almost have an advantage, right? Because I definitely grew up with Atari and all those other things, Nintendo, right? But you all have technology at a way different level than what we have. And so it makes you see things in a very different way. And I think it's kind of cool, right? Where I can pick up something and I can analyze it and most of the time I'm writing it down, right? You guys have gotten, the technology down pat, right? And so I think that, a lot of times Gen Xers like myself get really fearful of, wow, that technology, knowing that technology is going to take you much further. And so, one of the things I also wanted to talk about with you is, how do we get to a place where we take what and translate it very easily so a Gen Xer can come along, right? They can join the band, right? So what is it that you would, describe and advise them on?
Honestly, which they might not want to hear, if you remove the judgment, I think I know this person. I know this millennial. I know, like, if you just
remove I got a kid your age, so you can't be telling me what to do.
Right. if you remove that away, because I think that's the real barrier. I mean, because even with technology, so I do, Facebook and Instagram, but I don't Snapchat. Snapchat is really popular for the next generation underneath me, so, but I don't have any issue. Like, I can sit and talk to them, like, teach me Snapchat. It's not like I think I'm better because I'm not great with, Snapchat. It's every generation has the technology that they're most comfortable with. But I think that freedom, that knowing that I can learn from anyone, whether they're 100 or 5, is what's missing. And if we had that was just taken away, and that's so cheap, right? Yeah, that's not anything that's expensive.
Didn't cost me a class.
Right. I think it will make a world of difference. But honestly, I really do feel that some people, their main issue with millennials and entrepreneurship is you have the audacity to live on your terms. That
freedom.
nerve of you. Right. And I think, so they might, some might not admit it, but just, look at her. No kids, no husband. Just look at them, 4 in a house. Just doing what they got to do, just mad. Like, why are you mad? Everybody got a dog. They're just mad. It's like, it's just that freedom the illusion of, that freedom that they have. And it's less financial freedom. That's the goal, right? Financial freedom, yes. Not to have to work, and passive income. At least for me, my 2 things is peace and money. That's what I want. But it's that mental freedom that...
I like that you said that, because when you think about it, it's either you work to live or you live to work. And most Gen Xers live to work, right? I don't know if you watched your parents, but I know I'm typical of, I work a 16-hour day if I have to, right? I'm living to work, right? And then I watch my daughter who, she travels. She does her 8 hours, but she's not gonna put any more in than she needs to, right? She's running her own business. Her husband's running his business. They are enjoying life because, as you said, it's all about that freedom. I need to get my bank, but I'm going to do all the things in life that I've wanted to do. And I think you all are fortunate in that way because you've watched all the mistakes that we've made.
Yes, we are that generation, and there will be no other like us. No, we're the generation that was right on the cusp. So we know about all the greats. We know about the Michael Jordans and the Whitney Houston and all the great in music. We know all the greats in sports. We know VCR, DVD player. Yes. We know the newspaper when it was black and white. Yes. We have life before the internet. And then we came into technology. So we know the hustle of everyone before us and the work ethic. But then we came at the beginning of like the big boom of the .com. So we're like right in the middle. So that's why we had to be adaptable. Yes. We were forced to be adaptable. Yes. So we are very flexible. And you'll see the generation underneath us will probably be more technology, maybe not understand the work that previous generations put in because they didn't see it like us. Mm-hmm. And then generations before us might not be so much into technology because it wasn't there. They didn't grow up, with it. But I had the CD case with the songs, they had the lyrics in there. Yes. I had that. But then I also have all the music on my phone. Like I've experienced a landline. I want my own line. I need my own phone. And then I have this, which is more than when you think about technology and just the change of the world as well, and pop culture, politics. Yeah. Like I know a white president and a black president. Yeah. And the people, they probably just know we had a black president. Right. And the people before was like, I never thought we could have a black president. Right. Right. So we're just like in that middle part, and so when stuff's not working, like, hey. And another thing people might not say, I do feel like there's more of a spiritual, like more of an awakening of there's gotta be more life. Because it's the thing, if you're in a crap load of debt and you can't buy certain things, you're going to figure out another way to have fun. Yes. You're going to have to figure out another way to enjoy yourself. Yes. So
I like that. So guys, before we go any further, I want to take a moment out to acknowledge my sponsor for today's show, which is Stripe. I use Stripe for everything. When I'm writing my books, it's very easy to get people to go to Stripe and pay for those books or the other services that I offer as a coach. So, if you get a chance, check out stripe.com and pick it up for your services. And so I got one last question for you.
Okay.
What was the hardest lesson you've learned in your business thus far?
hardest lesson?
Oh my goodness.
You know, you learn a lot hard sometimes. I think the hardest lesson that I learned, thinking about finances, taxes.
Oh.
Managing your money.
Yes.
When you become an entrepreneur, when you do your tax, like keeping everything laid out like how it's supposed to be.
Yes.
Paying it when you have to pay it on time, depending on your business.
Yes.
And just keeping your records, because even if you do everything properly, when you do things right and you writing stuff off, you can get audited. It's like you IRS and you are like this. I don't think enough people talk about taxes. Like you're gonna bring in this money, but you gotta pay your taxes. And then how you do write-offs and all this stuff and stay on the up and up. Mm-hmm. And it's not like you just get your WTUs, you just take it to H&R. It's different. Purchasing a house is different.
So would you say don't spend all the money up front?
And obviously I'm like, hello. So what's going on? So I think that was it's just upfront. If someone said check on your mental health first, mm-hmm. Have some savings. Okay. Mm-hmm. Stay on top of your money. Get your good accounting system, bookkeeping, and get that taxes. Yes. I say that because you want to stay on the up and up. You want to stay right on the business side.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, Morgan! I have enjoyed having you here with us on Coin Goals. I just, man, you dropping some knowledge that I need to think about, right? And I hope these viewers out here are thinking the same thing, right? I hope the listeners know that you definitely have to have some sensibility, because we're talking about sensibility and understanding what freedom truly is for you as an entrepreneur. This is not just for millennials.
Yeah.
Anybody in business can use this.
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely.
Please, let's learn from each other's mistakes.
Yes.
And make new ones.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Morgan. I appreciate it. Love, joy, peace, happiness, wealth, and prosperity.
Thank you for having me.
Always. Thank you for being on the show.
Bye-bye.
Got it. We did it.